Hi, welcome to Purana Talk.
Welcome to Purana Talk.
Alan, Leon, we're the Purana guys. We've been reading the Puranas for a few days, and we thought it would be fun to share them, so we started recording them and putting them up here.
And I'm giving you a good look at my shirt before I slouch. I really like my Ramu Kaka chai. Although, frankly, I think Starbucks is like ripping off the logo because it looks really similar to me. So
Yeah, that's the way that worked. Sure.
We're in Kanda 1 of the Garuda Purana. I've started calling it Kanda 1 now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's chapter 227. And it's another chapter on yoga and its components. Suta said, I shall explain devotion to Vishnu, whereby everything can be secured. Hari is not pleased by anything else so much as by devotion. A regular remembrance of Hari is the root cause of great welfare, the source of origin of the stream of merits, and the most tasteful fruit of life. I'm not sure. It's like Charlie doesn't want tunas that are tasteful. Charlie wants tunas that taste good.
Yeah, right.
Something like that.
And we're looking at bhakti yoga.
I think it means tasty fruit. 3 to 4. Intelligent scholars have mentioned that service unto God is the best of the various means of devotion. Those who shed tears of joy with hair standing on their ends with the names of the Lord of the world are being sung along with his activities are the real devotees. The gain of feet of the great Lord, the support and creator of the universe, accords true wisdom. Those who are affectionate and carry out the perpetual service of God are the real Vaishnavas, even without hearing the word of the Vedas or the discourse of the Lord. He who bows with great devotion and adores and commends the sympathy and favoritism of the Lord to his devotees is a real Vaishnava. I think the translation's a little lumpy.
But you can see what they're getting at.
Yeah.
They're saying it isn't born position, it isn't initiation. It's people that really mean it.
Right. Hallelujah. Yeah. 7-8. If there is delight in hearing his stories, the ears become fruitful. He who has dedicated all his feelings unto God Vishnu with great devotion through a learned Brahmin devoted to Lord Vishveshvara is a Mahabhagavata, a great devotee. He who himself worships the Lord by flower offerings, or he who takes to worship for sustenance, is also Bhagavata. What's that mean? Takes to worship for sustenance. You get paid for this? You can get paid for this?
Well, perhaps. I'm not sure what they're getting at there for sure, but there's a couple of things it could be.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying that like maybe you take prasad as like if you offer food, you get maybe food back.
Yeah.
That you live off what you get back.
Or who serves as a priest and takes money for doing that.
It could be that too.
Okay, 9. There are 8 types of devotion. Even a mlecha, who is a great devotee, is on a par with the greatest of Brahmins and sages. He attains the greatest of goals. So, this is one of the interesting messages that you get in the bhakti yoga tradition, and it's how bhakti is sort of shirt-tailed along with yoga. It is another practice for attaining union, I suppose. So it's yoga in that sense. But a mlecha is, they're saying outcast, but it's a low-born outsider type. Someone without respectability in the, let's say, the Vedic community. It's like, I like to remind people of the word is like barbarian, which is sort of sounding like the the sound that the refined Roman Latin speaking people thought that that other people sounded like. Bar, 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 right. Well, mlech is the sound, here that's supposed to be like the language of the outsiders, is mlech. So, okay. Exchange of articles with him is allowed. He can be worshipped like Lord Hari himself, one who is a devotee. In other words, regardless of caste, being a great devotee of particularly Vishnu is who they're saying here, but take him as an example, is worthy of respect, and you can exchange articles with him like you would with a person of your own caste, without those barriers. He can be worshipped like Lord Hari himself. A Chandala becoming a devotee casually sanctifies everything. And a Chandala is another example of a low-born outcast, someone who handles icky things.
If they're worshipping Hari, then they're
okay. Yeah. So this is interesting. It's a socially progressive sort of use of it. This is the right of Lord Hari, that he accords freedom from fear of all living beings to him who says, "Please be merciful to me who have sought refuge in you. I am thine."
That's verse 11.
That's verse 11. Tells you what to say. 12. A person who has mastered all the systems of Vedanta is better than 1,000 of mantra yajans, those who know and practice recitation of mantras. A devotee of Lord Vishnu is better than 10 million of such Vedantins. And Vedantins are literally specialists in the ancillary texts that are at the end of the Vedas, the Veda Anta. Ekantins, those who are single-minded in Lord's devotion, attain the greatest region even with their gross body. In other words, you don't have to die first. This unswerving faith in Vishnu makes them identical with him, and he is fondly attached to them also. Yeah, it's going to have to be mutual, isn't it? If it's working. 14. Those who are thus single-minded in their devotion to Lord are great favorites unto him, though he impartially loves everyone. How does he do that? It's like one of those other Krishna magic tricks where he can be devoted to his one sweetie above all others, while being devoted to all the others above all others at the same time. It's amazing. Those who are thus single-minded in their devotion to Lord are great favorites unto him, though he impartially loves everyone. His bhakti does not go astray even in times of danger. Remembering Lord Vishnu, my great devotion does not go away from my heart. I am always attached to him, as it is the greatest love that suffers no adverse effects from worldly objects. Even if a man has mastered the Vedas and Shastras, he should be considered the vilest among men if he is not devoted to Lord. Even if a man has not learned Vedas and Shastras, even if he has not performed any sacrifice, it must be deemed that he has done everything if he is devoted to Lord Vishnu. O great sages, even those who perform great sacrifices, even those who have learned the Vedas, do not attain that goal which devotees attain. A person reckless about his conduct of life and duties according to the stage of his life is able to sanctify the entire world if he becomes a Vaishnava in the same way as the rising sun does. Even ruthless, wicked persons bent upon sinful activities attain the greatest region on being devoted to Lord Narayana. If there is firm and unflinching devotion to Lord Janardana, that alone will give one extreme pleasure. Heavenly bliss is nothing in comparison to it. And these are all names of Vishnu. To those men who roam about the world that is impassable due to diversified actions, the sole support is Janardana, who is propitiated. He who does not listen to the songs of praise of the divine qualities of the discus-bearing Lord of Lords, Vishnu, is no better than a deaf man. He is to be banished from all religious activities. If any one's body is not thrilled with horripilation with the name of Vishnu when the name of Vishnu is sung, it is no better than a corpse. If there is annihilation of all sins when the mind is directed towards the Lord, the devotion to him will necessarily usher in salvation even long. I'm now at stanza 26 for those of you following along. They say that Yama, on seeing his attendant with the noose in his hand, whispers into his ears, "Avoid those men who've sought refuge in Madhusudana, slayer of the demon Madhu. I am the lord of other men, not of Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas get off from death, even. How's that work?" 27. The Lord has said, "Even if the vilest of persons were be devoted to me, to the exclusion of others, he might be considered a saint. He is of the right and perfect enterprise." O excellent Brahman, you can even swear that a devotee of Vishnu will become righteous quickly and attain permanent peace. He never perishes. Not only virtue, wealth, and love, but even salvation is easily accessible to him whose devotion is firm towards Hari, the root cause of all worlds. Hari's Maya is divine and insurmountable, composed as it is of the three gunas. Only they who resort to him can cross it. If a person has his intellect concentrated on Hari, of what use are sacrifices and worships to him? Vishnu can be propitiated by devotion alone. There's no other cause thereof. The noble soul Janardana cannot be so much propitiated by gifts of various kinds distributed by persons or flowers or unguents as by single-minded devotion. The worldly existence is a poisonous tree, but two of its fruits are comparable even to nectar. One is devotion to Lord Keshava, the other is a chance association with his devotees. Leaves, flowers, fruits, and water are easily available always, hence by devotion alone the eternal being can be attained. Still people strive after salvation. The mains jump with joy, the grandfathers dance in gaiety in view of the fact that a Vaishnava is born in our family. He is sure to enable us to surmount all difficulties. When such ignorant sinners, cavilling at Indra and Lord Vishnu like Shishupala, Suyodhana, and others, have attained salvation, shaking off their sins by means of constant memory of the Lord, what doubt is there in the case of persons of great devotion? 37. Even if they are devoid of contemplation and yogic practice, people who have sought shelter in him will cross the sea of death and attain the Vaishnava region. O Madhava, he, horse of my mind, is bedeviled by hundreds of painful experiences arising from the world of existence. Now, what should that really have said? O Madhava, he horse of my mind.
How about the horse of my mind?
The horse of my mind
is bedeviled.
That's a little better than he horse of my mind.
I think it must be the.
But the horse that suddenly shows up here is a little troubling.
Yeah, I don't know what the horse of the mind would be. But I can accept that somebody might use that phrase.
Well, let's accept that and move on. It is faltering in the pores of sense organs. May it be tethered to the peg of thy foot with firm devotion as the cord. Vishnu is the supreme Brahman, devoid of difference and differentiation, although this is known from the Vedas, principles enunciated by sages, and actual experience. Those who are deluded know it not.
Ra ra ra, shishgumba.
Shishgumba?
Well,
okay. So here we go. They called it yoga and its components, but obviously some Vaishnava missionaries have gotten a hold of the text and inserted this little pep talk.
The next one, though, is about devotion to Vishnu.
It's all about devotion to Vishnu.
That's
well,
all
you know,
it is.
in a way, what we're looking at is a Vaishnava Purana, ostensibly.
And it's all Vishnu.
All right, we get that. But we're looking at a Vaishnava Purana that most of the time comes off as being very cosmopolitan and encompassing, Catholic, we might say, in its perspective.
In the universal sense.
But periodically, it just has to jump in and remind us that it's a Vaishnava Purana. And you know, so you can insert your favorite name of God here, because, I mean, if it's all Vishnu, so is Shiva, so is Jesus. Go ahead, fill in the blank. But it is talking about a generalizable phenomenon of bhakti yoga and the idea that through devotion to fill in the blank, you know, there is liberation that goes beyond what was previously available in history, perhaps to only people of twice-born castes specifically, sometimes only to Brahmins, generally only to men.
Krishna seemed to be, the Krishna cult seemed to be an important movement in this direction.
And the bhakti movement generally in the Middle Ages.
But you don't find it in Ram so much, right? The whole Ramraj thing is sort of the king that does it all right.
Yeah.
But he's not real busy breaking caste like that. Krishna's more into that.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Shiva's more into that.
I suppose when you're a king, you actually have a function. But Krishna was a king too, depending on what sets of myths you look at, you know. So
phase of life may have something to do.
That's interesting, but I'm thinking of the whole, you know, the bhakti poets, saints, and all that, the sant, the traditions, in which, to a large extent, they were appealing to a mass of the population with the notion that you don't need to pay Brahmins to get to God. You know, it's like Protestantism, in a sense. You know, it's like saying that we don't have to have a priest or someone like that to intercede between us and deity. If you just go for devotion and just love the hell out of fill in the blank, it will transform and elevate you.
It's the continuer of life, you know, the thing that keeps it all going. And through Brahma, who is this awareness of the direction somehow, comes out of his belly button.
Well, you know, they all show up in each other's cosmologies, but the two big ones, of course, are the Shaivite, you know, Shiva tradition and the Vishnu tradition, which is the Vaishnavas that we've been talking about, and within the Vaishnavas, the Krishna one has sort of become certainly one of the dominant ones, but you know, even it has all these offshoots. You know, how many names you refer to Krishna by, and this part of the bhakti tradition is that you can know God in whatever form that it's most accessible, that he or she is most accessible to you. And so in the Krishna case, it could be, you know, the hot young man that seduces all the damsels, or it could be the infant that a mother's love is drawn to, or it could be the king that you can follow into a battle.
All of these at once.
Yeah, it's a little hard to juggle. That's when he turns into the white light that dissolves your, you know, blah blah, into blah blah. Words fail at that point.
Into Vishnu.
Into Vishnu. Well, I think that kind of says it all.
Yeah.
Having a good time, Vishnu here.
Nescafe, wonderful stuff.
Or you could go to Ramu Kaka's Chai Ki Dukan and have a nice pyala of chai. But if you're in Seattle, go to Travelers or any one of our distributors and have a lovely, well, yeah, even a lovelier cup of chai. Here's an ad.